so that you have, I don't know what you need, but we all need something.
Yes, donations, yes.
Yes, okay, good. Welcome to Inside C&A Digital The Podcast. I am super excited for my guest today. You're in for a treat. But you might feel like you need a couple of other jobs after you meet her. If you don't know her, welcome founder and president of Operation Prom National Network, Noel Delaco.
That's me. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy you're here. We cross a lot of paths in Westchester. I think we shared a stage in November.
We did.
And this audience is so lucky to have you tuned in today for your program. Let's get started.
Okay.
Talk to me about Operation Prom National Network, where you are the president and founder.
Yes, well, it's hard to believe, but I am the president and founder of Operation Prom for the past 21 years. This year, we're celebrating our 21st prom season here in Westchester County.
Wow.
We provide free prom dresses and tuxedos to students, and we are now located in 8 states across the U.S.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how like the genesis of this organization and why you started it.
Yeah, well, I had never planned on starting a nonprofit organization. While I was in college, I actually started my first business in college. I was 19, and I started a company called Here Comes the Planner. It was an event planning company.
I can see this.
And it was a lot of fun. I was planning people's weddings, but I kept meeting with women at that time, over 20 years ago, who were spending so much money on bridesmaids' dresses in particular. And they said, what am I going to do with this dress after I'm in this wedding, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which, even now, now once you take a picture of yourself in the dress, it's, in the closet, you're never going to wear it again. It's on social media. But, an idea came to mind that day, and I called my former high school in Yonkers, and I said, could you use any bridesmaids dresses as prom dresses for your students? And they said, absolutely. We have 3 girls who are homeless this year, and we need all the help we can get.
Wow.
So that's kind of just how it started. And over the next 3 years, I was collecting dresses from family members and friends, delivering them to my high school and a few other schools, and it just caught on. Other schools heard about it, and people were calling me saying, we need dresses for our students. So by 2005, I said, I think I may have formed a nonprofit organization without realizing it.
Sure.
And that's how Operation Prom got started.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
So let's say you're watching us or listening in on Spotify or Apple Music. Tell me how someone could help. Let's say they don't have dresses. How else can they help you where you are today, 2025?
Yeah, we're always looking for help. So, of course, we need your donations of dresses and tuxedos. But monetary donations are also important because that's how we operate the organization. I should note that we do not take salaries at Operation Prom, so everybody is a volunteer. So those monetary donations go right back into the services that we provide for the students. So,
which is important to know.
Yes.
Wow. So, so monetary and the donations, and I'm sure there are times where you said, did you mention volunteers?
Yes, volunteers. Yes. Oh, yeah. We always need our volunteers. So whether it's the Westchester County location, whether it's our New York City locations, or Hartford, Connecticut, or Sarasota, Florida, wherever you are, we need volunteers.
Right. And I can get a little detail-y. People here know that. Do gowns have to be dry clean? Do they have to be, what's the condition?
Yeah.
And what is the process?
Yeah, so we usually say, would a teenager wear it, right? You're going to prom, so you're about 17 years old. So if you can look at it and say it's trendy, it's maybe within, the past 5 to 10 years. It's great if it's cleaned. If not, some of our locations have dry cleaning partners, so we'll get everything cleaned before we give it to the students.
And I'm sure that's partly where donations come in, right?
Yes,
the monetary
yes,
stuff.
yes.
Now, how do you select who gets address?
Well, you know what? Years ago, like when I first started the organization, we would work really, really closely with the school's administrations, guidance counselors, social workers. We still do that. And we are here in Westchester County, we're partnered with the Westchester County Department of Social Services. So we work with those social workers directly. But, you know, in today's economy, there's a need everywhere. So it doesn't matter what part of the county you live in. If you need a prom dress, you can come to the Westchester County Center with your high school ID and you can shop for a free dress.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
And I dove right in because to me it's kind of so impressive, but I think we'll take a little bit of a step back.
Sure.
And I think the audience learns a little bit about who you are through even that initial story, but tell me a little bit more about like who you are and what your purpose is here, because part of what we do here on the podcast is we try to introduce our network to people that we feel are really impressive. And obviously you're one of those people. And I mentioned in the pre-show that, you know, one of my favorite aspects of you, other than like who you are as a human, is all the things you do. Like it's so impressive.
I don't sleep, Elena.
This must be. This must be. So tell the audience a little bit about the other aspects of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, you know, I think because, you know, Operation Prom is very time consuming and, you know, the first like 10 years of starting the organization, I was really busy. You know, I couldn't do much else. I was trying to get my master's degree. I was, you know, just trying to live in my 20s, right? But, you know, there was other things that I wanted to do with my life too, without giving up my first baby. So part of the other things I like to do is just, you know, keeping busy. I'm a professor for 2 of the local colleges here in Westchester. I enjoy giving back to students in that way, where I can teach them about entrepreneurship, how to market their business, how to sell, you know, how to write a business plan. So that's
important.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's like my other love. You know, I'm teaching in a different kind of way, but I love it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So you're not allowed to have a favorite job, I'm sure, when you have as many as you have. But if you had to say, like, which is maybe the most connected to you, or do you find the greatest kind of pull to of all the things you do?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's such a hard question. I'm also working doing development for WEDC, the Women's Enterprise Development Center. So I write grants and do events for them, which is great.
Great logo you guys have, by the way.
Oh yes.
I did it.
You know, I kind of feel like all the jobs are connected, and that's why I kind of go this route of finding things that are related to each other, where I can make those connections and network between, you know, the different colleges that I work at, the different nonprofits. So yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I love doing all this. I don't know if I have like a favorite.
You probably have a favorite aspect of each thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, Operation Prom has been so good to me, and the people that I've met through Operation Prom have been, you know, phenomenal. So I would probably put that as my first job, just because of the people. It's the people.
Well, and it's yours, right?
It's mine.
I mean, so there's a certain joy that comes from, you know, that, which is great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, again, I couldn't have gotten this far. I couldn't have took the organization into other states for 21 years without the amazing people that are part of it.
Right. So I'm going to ask you to put your professor hat on for a second, because I know that you love teaching. And one of the things that, and I love higher ed, you know, I've participated in events with College of Westchester. We've done actually some work for Iona, and I'm on the board for Mercy. So I love higher ed. I love helping students. So I'm going to ask you to put your professor hat on and talk to our audience, which, depending on the episode, can skew to that younger student demographic. And why don't you give me a tip or two about any advice you would give for someone who's thinking of starting, or maybe not a student, anybody's thinking of starting a business today? And some advice you have.
I think the easy answer would be just do it, but do it strategically, right? Kind of think of your business as like that game of chess, you know, and always think 5 steps ahead or 5 moves ahead. But, what is the competition? What is the need out there? How can you make yourself better than what already exists? So it's not just about starting, but really thinking those things through.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's also important, that's kind of related to your experience and who you are, is when we were approached by Wednesday years ago, and this was actually before Nikki's, time to work on the branding. We do this deep dive in, right? This discovery period.
Right.
And when I learned about all of the resources that were available, now in this case, I'm talking about Wednesday, right? But just in general.
Right.
I had no idea as an entrepreneur starting a business 13 years ago, a mile from here, right?
Yeah,
I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that is really cool about your experience is, and who you are, is you kind of touch like different ways that people can tap resources.
Exactly. And, if you're a student watching this, right, maybe you're in college because you want to learn about being an entrepreneur. But if you're out of college now and you're not planning to go back, WEDC is the perfect place for you to go to get those entrepreneurial, the knowledge and the skills that you need to start your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the pieces of advice, and I'm curious to know your opinion on this, that I give people who are thinking of starting a business today is really this side gig approach, right? Because I didn't have a funder or it was like bootstrap.
Yeah.
And so I had to do a main job, and then I had to do another job.
Yes.
And so you have to, and that kind of prepares you for entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Because people will say to me, "Hey, it's great. You can work whenever you want." I say, "Yes, I get to pick any 14 hours a day I want."
Right, exactly.
Right, and it kind of prepares you for the work. And then, so what do you think about side gigging, or people who, how do you just get started?
Well, I do like how you put that, because realistically, that side gig plus your real full-time job is going to be what your life is always going to be like, right? Because as a business owner, you're wearing many hats. So I agree. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it sometimes scares people, but I think sometimes social media will glamorize what is entrepreneurship now, and it used to be, nobody really wanted to be a small business owner, own that coffee shop down the street, but now it's all the rage.
Right.
And so I'm all for it being all the rage, as long as people have a realistic expectation with respect to what it takes.
Sure. And I think, as great as social media is, they're really not showing you the back end of how challenging and difficult it really is. When I started 21 years ago, there was no social media.
Right.
So I could tell you how hard it really was, trying to find donors, trying to find customers, trying to network and make connections. It was, impossible if you think of it in comparison to today.
Yeah, and I know that this question might not have been there, so feel free to kind of ad-lib with me here. But where do you think, or how do you recommend students use AI today? Because I think what an untapped opportunity even just the World Wide Web is, right? Information at your fingertips. I used to have to go to the library, go to the stacks, find the card, find the book, sit down with a physical book, right? So all of these steps are eliminated for people today, and they have access to instant information. So how do you actually coach people in terms of how do you use innovation to further along entrepreneurship?
Right. I mean, I know, especially in higher education, there is a lot of discussion about it and how to use it the right way.
Right.
So in my classes, that's what I'm messaging. I encourage the students to use it the right way.
Right.
But
a good point.
I think it's fantastic to have.
Yeah. Don't use it to write your paper. That's called plagiarism.
and kind of what I'm saying. Yeah.
We all have AI checkers.
Right.
So, people will apply to jobs here.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. The cover letter is 100% AI generated. Everything is. And it's you have to know we're putting it through a checker.
Yes. And we do that with your papers too at college.
I mean, of course. But we mentioned a little bit about the Women's Enterprise Development Center, and kind of we're really good friends in terms of businesses, and we love everyone there. Tell the audience a little bit about what you do for WEDC?
Yeah, sure. So WEDC offers programs and services for people who want to start a business, people who are maybe already in business and need some support. So I do grant writing for WEDC, and I also do events like the annual gala. In May, we have our Lillian Vernon Awards ceremony coming up. So it's a lot of fun. It's great to fundraise for an organization that's doing so much for women.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's grown. How do you see it kind of moving into the future? Just your opinion.
Yeah. It's been around since 1997. And it's, we have an amazing CEO, Nikki Hahn.
Love Nikki.
Yes, and I think it's going to continue to grow. I think with women, leaving corporate America and starting their own businesses, we're going to just keep helping more and more women start their business.
Yeah, and if you're joining and you're interested in WEDC, it's not even a shameless plug, but I think we're going to have an event here soon.
Yes.
I know it's kind of specialized in terms of topic, but we'd love to partner and help out however we can.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. So now you are currently teaching at, I think it's Iona, right?
I'm currently teaching at Iona, yes.
So is it entrepreneurship that you're teaching here?
It is. I'm teaching at the Heinz Institute. I'm the entrepreneur in residence for the semester, so I'm teaching one of their entrepreneurship courses.
So what does that mean, entrepreneur in residence? I like that.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yes.
What is it?
It's great. So there is something called an IIC Challenge, which is a business competition for the students at Iona.
Yes.
And basically I get matched up with some of these students. I mentor them. I, look at their pitch videos, their business plans, their marketing strategy, and I kind of help get them to that finish line where they can win prizes up to $20,000 to start their business.
That's amazing.
So it's really fantastic. Yeah.
You had $20,000 when you started, right?
No,
I didn't either.
No, maybe about $50.
Yeah, I know. So tell me, what are your thoughts about the future then? Because you have your hands in a lot of places, which is great and admirable. But tell me a little bit more about what you're hoping for your future, because I'm pretty sure you don't wake up by accident. You have a plan. Tell the audience what you're up to.
Well, I always, plan on keeping Operation Prom. You can't change being the founder of it, for 21 years. And teaching is great because as a professor, I can stop for a little bit and come back. So that's also been helpful with me raising my kids who are 7 and 9. So
7 and 9.
Yeah. So I need the flexibility.
You're bored all the time.
I'm so bored.
Yes.
But I have some things I've been thinking about.
Okay.
I'm manifesting, seeing what maybe is going to happen.
That means she'll be back to tell us more later. That's what that means.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's
maybe
awesome.
not this year, but something soon.
Are you? And I understand that actually there's no right or wrong answer to this question. But out of curiosity, are you hoping to grow Operation Prom? Like, we're in 8 states now. Do we want to be across the country? Like, tell me what your vision goals are for
so
your business.
What's great about Operation Prom is, and tell me if I'm talking too much about it, but when I started the organization and when I started adding chapters, each one of the locations needed to be a chapter of Operation Prom. And over the years, we saw other organizations, Operation Prom Dress, Project Prom, popping up. Mm-hmm. And a couple of people said to me, they stole your idea. This should be you. And I always viewed it as we're all helping. Nobody's stealing my idea. This is a great idea. And if somebody likes it and they want to do it in their community, great.
Imitation.
Yes.
Is the highest form of flattery.
Yes, it sure is. So we actually, we were just Operation Prom, and then we dissolved that organization and created the Operation Prom National Network. So you technically don't have to be a chapter, but you can be another organization or a school group or a community group. And as a partner, and we still list you on our website. You get all of our resources, all of our amazing corporate contacts that we have. And, people go to our website and they find your chapter and they say, I want to ship dresses. I want to volunteer because this is in my community. Because the point of it was not to just help Westchester and Metro New York City, but to help all students across the U.S. So I definitely see it growing. I mean, we've had requests anywhere from Alaska
Wow.
So believe it or not, we brought dresses to St. Croix a couple of years ago. So,
that.
it could be international. For all I know, it kind of has a mind of its own.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges that you face running an organization like this, irrespective of like the fact that you're a mom and have a lot of other responsibilities, but even with respect to like this Operation Prom, like what are the biggest challenges that you face?
The operations, just the operations and the logistics of getting the donations in, especially if they're corporate donations and there's thousands of, items coming in. Locations, because we don't really, pay for rent in a lot of our locations.
Okay.
So, and that also the monetary donations help that, but a lot of our space is donated. We're always looking for additional space. Right now we have a lot of things come into Westchester County and we have to sort things out. We request that some of our corporate partners will ship to all of our locations, so this way we're not having to undertake that task and cost.
Okay.
So it really is there's a whole
Operations
and behind what people say.
And we just never know who's listening, so I want to make sure that we're clear about where you might actually need help, so that as people are kind of reaching out to us to help, we know they know exactly what they can do, or
space.
Space.
We need space. We always need more space. And the corporate donations I've noticed over post-COVID really. The corporate donations haven't been coming in as they used to. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. And I know why. I know it's about the manufacturing, and those companies were hit really hard. And I really think, it might be a couple more years before they start manufacturing some of these dresses like they used to.
Wait, so is the challenge that people aren't buying the dresses or going to the event, so they don't have the donation to give, or is it something else?
Yeah, no, it's the manufacturing. So, we had, for example, one very, very big, well-known designer, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom. You can find them, and they would just over manufacture dresses. I mean, every year they were sending us like 100,000 dresses, and they were just things they couldn't sell,
I see.
So instead of it going to like a TJ Maxx or something like that, all the donations were coming into us. And I think and that's just one designer. There were other designers too that were sending us hundreds of, dresses at a time. And now we're not seeing that anymore because I think they're holding back on manufacturing so many.
I see. Okay, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's supply chain kind of thing.
Kind of issue. Yeah. Not so sexy, but it's interesting to kind of dissect where that challenge is.
Yeah.
So how do corporate partners who decide to partner with you, how do they win?
Well, of course, giving us their items, I mean, definitely feels good. If it's a tangible product, we have companies, corporations who support us in other ways. Right now we're working with Molina Healthcare, and their employees are going to be shipping donations to all of our chapters. We have the Women of Walgreens. So they have their own association, women who work at Walgreens. They're going to be supporting all of our chapters. We partner with Ethan Allen, the furniture store.
Yeah, I love Ethan Allen.
Yeah, here in New York, in Florida, and in Connecticut and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And those locations will be drop-off sites. So even if you don't have a dress or a tuxedo to donate, there are other ways that your business can help us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So not to get too technical with it, but do they write this off at the end?
I'm sure they do.
They can?
They can. They totally can.
Good to know.
Some donors like to be anonymous and they don't even want a letter from us, and some request it. So, to each his own.
But that's really good to know.
Yes.
All right.
Our tax deductible, yes.
Yeah, and no judgment either way, but what do the kids do? Do the kids help with this? How do they get involved, and what do they know about what mom does all day?
Well, the last time I took them to the county center, they just wanted McDonald's, so I had to Uber it there.
Well, they are kids.
Yeah. I mean, look, my volunteers love when my kids come, and my kids really do have a good time, and they'll help, but, they're still little, so it's a little challenging. They can't lift the heavy boxes, put things on hangers and hang them up. But I see them, coming in a few years and really working.
Yeah, you're going to really put them to work.
Yes.
So as you know, we're a woman-owned business.
Yes.
I'm a woman. You see my leadership team. We love women. Yes. I mean, I love everyone, right? My men are going to be like, what about No, but obviously that's a kind of common theme with us. And so one of the things I like to ask the really impressive women that come on the show is like, how do you balance it all? What, like, I know there's no such thing as balance.
Right.
But it's still interesting to me, and I love to hear your perspective on, like, some, when I was thinking of starting a family, I remember I was so ambitious that there was almost then a negative connotation with wanting to be a mom and also doing all the things I wanted to do. And I had to navigate that kind of mentally and kind of from that perspective, and decided, thank God, that I would still go after the things I wanted. And I knew I could still be a good mom, and my kids are beautiful and well-rounded and we're very close. But mine was like kind of overcoming a big barrier. Did you face similar challenges, or like, just how do you navigate all of it?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, because I swore I was never going to have kids because I was a businesswoman and that's what I was going to do my whole life. But then came 2015, and I was
and you're like, just kidding.
Yeah, right, exactly. I was on bed rest with my son from 15 weeks, and that was...
Wow.
That was rough. I mean, bed rest, couldn't move, barely walked up the stairs. But I decided I was going to keep my radio show going, and my radio show, which was on the old I had one on WVOX in New Rochelle. They're both gone now, WVOX and WFAS FM. But I was like, I'm still going to do it. And my team would come to my house 2 mornings a week, and we would record in my living room and do a radio show. I mean, there was no video, so
right.
People really couldn't see what I was doing, but I was sitting on the couch recording my radio show.
No excuses.
No excuses. I think I've just always been the type of person that likes to keep busy and wants to work. But yeah, you question, like, should I be working this much? And then that other voice in my head goes and says, well, I want my kids to see what real life is like. Like, you have to work, you have to hustle, you have to help others.
Yeah.
That's like part of it. And is there a balance? There is. I mean, when I'm not working, which is rare, I'm like cuddled up at home, on the couch, and I'm like, let's go watch a Disney movie, and my kids are like, oh, you want to watch a movie again? But, that's kind of like my way to relax.
Sure.
And that's kind of how I find the balance.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I have a lot of good friends, and some of them, higher education to become, go into the corporate field or law or otherwise. And when they saw their baby, they were like,
I'm never working again.
Never
right?
work again.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of the opposite, where I saw my babies and was like, I have to get to work.
Yes.
There's so many things I want to show them and to do.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with even proving anything in terms of what a woman could do or anything. It was really like, New York is expensive.
Yes.
And, how are we going to pay for everything?
Right.
I want this house. I want this experience in this life.
Exactly.
And so I actually went the opposite way, and so I kind of respect and honor. But obviously you didn't throw in the towel on anything. In fact, you may have accumulated more jobs. But I think it's you're really inspirational in terms of showing young people what is possible, because I think sometimes we might think we know, and then we'll meet someone like you, and we'll realize there's so much
say she's
more.
crazy. Yeah.
No. I think it's more like we'll see what's possible.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what I want my kids to see. Right. These are all things that are possible, and you can do so many things. You don't have to just do one thing. But it's always goes back to that piece of helping people. I teach them that they have to help others, no matter what they do.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you had to think about what you think your personal kind of superpower recipe for success has been. So when you're quiet and you're thinking about the things that you think about when it's quiet, in terms of where you want to be in the future, like what are some of the thoughts that you're able to conjure up to get you there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just, remaining positive, just remaining positive. It's, it's a challenge. You tell somebody, oh, just, think happy thoughts, and, it's not always easy, right? But you really got to just flip the switch, and I think I've been able to do that. Look, even on my worst days, my kids are kicking and screaming. They don't want to go to school, or somebody's sick and I have to go teach a 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. class. I'm in front of that class like I am now, smiling and ready to go, because you just have to do it. It's just, you flip the switch and you just stay positive and smile.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Right, and we can show up however we'd like to. That's one of the very few things that's in our spheres of control.
Right.
How we show up.
Right.
And if we show up.
Right.
Right, and I think that you're proof positive that showing up is good.
Showing up is good.
Showing up is good, and especially when it's hard.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have this audience of people who love marketing, maybe are young women who are thinking about the things they can do or be or see. In closing, like, what advice do you have for them?
Ooh, well, I guess it's kind of like I said before, like, do it. But again, kind of, think through, there's, a process, right, of thinking, how am I going to do this? Make a plan for yourself. I think that would be, my number one advice, You can do it. You can do it. It's not easy. It's going to be hard.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to. Plan on it being hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anticipate that.
Yes.
Now, I want this audience to be able to reach you and help you if that's what they want to do. Can you tell everybody where they can find you and how they can help?
Yeah, of course. Well, you can follow me. My Instagram is my name, Noel Delaco, so it's at Noel Delaco. But the best way, to support Operation Prom is to head over to our website. It's promnationalnetwork.org.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for sitting with me. This was so much fun.
It was. Thank you so much.
You are just impressive and inspiring. And I'm glad that the world got to see you today with me.
I appreciate it.
And I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been my pleasure. Until next time.